Well, it's a beautiful day here in Colorado, and I spent about 2 hours today at the Habitat Restore. They're having a customer appreciation day, and everything was 75% off, or $3 a bag. So I got a couple things I've never purchased before. I'll go ahead and show you those in just a minute. And then after that, I went and stopped by Jerry's, who's a local tube guy here, and he gave me the guts out of a couple of console radios. And in one day, I actually got almost all the parts I need for the Fullerton amp. Remember, this is the AJ Fullerton's a local guitarist who's getting some notoriety over in the Denver area, and he wants me to build him an amp. So we have a cabinet for that. And I decided after making the Lord Valve interview that there's a segment in there on section number 7 where he talks about his tube hanger, where it's a head with two separate amplifiers in it. One of them is a low power amplifier and the other one is a high power one. And I want to go ahead and do the same kind of thing for the Fullerton amp. And I've been thinking about how to do that, what type of tube selection I want to do, and I actually got all the parts in one day. First thing I'll show you is the low power amplifier. It came out of a Bendix console radio that Jerry had. Somebody had given him, and I went over today and he had basically pulled out this little guy here. This is the power output for this Bendix radio, and this is 6K6 output tubes, push-pull configuration. Here's the power transformer and the OPT. This will end up putting about 3 watts. So on the low power side, I got that covered. And on the high power side, what I got behind me is I bought 2 keyboards at Habitat. The first one I got here at 75% off. This keyboard was $9. It's not really a keyboard. Someone had gutted the keyboard section of it, and they made it into a student desk. Habitat was really glad to see it go because no one wanted this, but I took the back off when I was there, and I found out that it has 3 speakers in it, and 2 10 inches, and a 12-inch speaker, and I'll show you those in just a minute. And then behind here, what you can't see is a Wurlitzer like 1961 model 4100B, and that is I don't know what the condition of that is. I do believe it has roughly 30 tubes in it to get out the voices. It has a 6L6 output stage, so that one's going to put out about 35 watts. So between the Bendix radios that I got from Jerry and this Wurlitzer and the speakers, also that Wurlitzer has 2 vintage Jensen C12R speakers in it. So I have speakers, power transformers, tubes, chassis. I got a lot of stuff today. It basically is going to be the core of the Fullerton amp that I'm building for AJ Fullerton. That's our update for today. I will go ahead and take apart some of this Wurlitzer and this Kimball keyboard here and show you some of the stuff that's inside of it, inside of those. Here's the back off of that Kimball keyboard here, and here's a couple of the speakers. This is L10P-15. I don't know what it is. It looks like it's maybe 50 watt speaker. It's a 10-inch guy, and then inside of this kind of a closed box is a 12-inch, and it's an RCF L12-564. I looked this guy up here. It does have it's 100 watts nominal, and I pulled this speaker out on this side. I'll go ahead and show you what it looks like. It does kind of look like it's a full range speaker because it does have, got this one out here. It's got that Whistler cone in the center. These are in really good condition. These are definitely not the stock speakers. They're in too good of condition. This keyboard is probably about 30 to 40 years old. You know, circa 1980-ish kind of thing. Now what you can't see, let me see if I can get in here. No, that's not going to be very good. Let me see if I can just kind of poke in here. Here's the keyboard, the foot pedals off of this Kimball. Maybe I can do a little funky thing with the camera here. Nah, probably not. Yeah, I can't see anything. We'll come in from the other side. Maybe you can see the back of it. No, I can't see. Well, here's the back of that Kimball keyboard, that organ itself. And it's a 4100B. I'll go ahead and start taking these apart. The problem I have with all this is that these weigh so much that I can't really get these keyboards out of my truck. So I'm going to have to disassemble them in the back of the truck and then take them apart piece by piece. And I don't have any room anywhere for any of this stuff, so I need to really kind of accelerate this development. I managed to get that old Kimball out of the back of the truck. I went ahead and took out all the three woofers. I took out the foot pedals as well. Go ahead and show you those. They're in pretty good condition, just a little dusty. Now, I'm not a keyboard guy, and I've never seen anything quite like this before, but look, take a look at this. This thing is I guess it's the volume control. And it's got these two switches up here. So you get your foot on here and you can kind of click through different settings or something. And I think what I'm going to do with this is interface this directly with an Arduino and have this run my coil winder, where this actually sets the direction of the movement of the wire feed, and then this one sets the speed. All right, let's go back over and look at the Wurlitzer. I have the back off of it. Managed to move it around. First thing you want to see is that here's the woofers. They look like 12-inch woofers. Very small magnet. And down here is the part number. Let's see if I can read that. Can't see that really. Oh, 220201. C128, C7388. Back here, I don't know what that says. 650201. Maybe this was made in 1965. I don't know. I have to do some research. I did do a little bit of research on these Wurlitzers. Somebody said that these are Jensen's. And it's quite a beast inside. Here's the amplifier oscillator rack. And it's actually on a pivot for maintenance. So I've got it all unscrewed. If I can get this thing open here. There we go. It's kind of dusty, but you can kind of see what we have here. These are 7868. I don't know what those are. Here's the rectifier tube. These are all Wurlitzer tubes. A couple of caps here. Then over here, I guess these are the tone oscillators. And let me see. This is the power transformer. This thing is a monster because it has a giant filament transformer in it. Winding, because on this side there's 28 12 FQA tubes. And then I think these are tuning coils, so these might actually be variable inductors. I'll have to look at the schematic for that. Here's the output transformer. This all looks pretty good. What I don't know, a couple of things down here. I've got no idea what this is. This is the protective cover over the foot pedal, and then this is these pedals down here. And there are tons and tons of capacitors in here. We'll have to take these out, kind of see if they're any good. Or if they have any value, actually. They look like all spregs to me. Because that's what a lot of these ones are over here. Well, I have my work cut out for me. Take advantage of all this vintage gear and turn it into something that AJ can use. I got those 12-inch speakers out. Here's the grill cloth and the baffle. Might be able to actually use that. Here's a row of switches. This thing weighs a ton. Turns out there's full of transformers in here doing something. Got the amplifier rack out, the oscillator rack. Here's my foot switch here. It's getting pretty dark around here. I think I'm pretty much done for the day. I was going to show you one more thing if this is going to work. So here's the upper keyboard. And here's a bunch of switches here that do something. But look at what they end up doing when you actuate them. So they turn this shaft, and this shaft has got wires embedded in it. And then there's a bunch of contacts all the way down this, like a matrix of switches. I mean, it's like a giant array. So this switch here might be like, I don't know, 40-ish, 40 poles, single throw. This thing is never seen one of these inside. Been very interesting. I will tell those keyboardists out there, I did have a problem when I was cutting this, because I knew that I was destroying this, but I do also know that keyboards or organs at this level don't have much value and end up in the landfill. I'm going to take as many of these parts out of this Wurlitzer 4100B and reuse them or upcycle them into something else so that they have a second life. It's been about 3 hours this morning finishing the teardown of these organs. The Wurlitzer took about 2 of those hours because it had about 100 screws I had to get out. The Kimball I just whacked apart with a sledgehammer. It wasn't very well constructed. It was all particle board. The Wurlitzer was actually made out of some really nice pieces of wood that I'm going to recycle into making some speaker enclosures. So I have some sides here and a nice top piece, and I'm just going to use that dovetail jig and kind of stick these together. Here's that power transformer and all the dividers from the organ itself. That thing is huge because it actually has a filament, about 29 or 30 filaments to power. And it has about 60 of these caps that were kind of hidden in there underneath the keyboard. This thing is called a damp chaser. It's a humidity control device. It sits in the bottom of all these organs. What I thought was a bunch of inductors, transformers, is actually a bunch of inductors. And they're kind of spring-loaded in there. But actually, I think those spring-loaded things adjust the air gap. I do believe these might be adjustable inductors at about the 3 to 5 Henry range. Then up here on the bench, this is one of the speakers out of that Kimball. It's a 10-inch speaker here. This is that Bendix 6K6 push-pull output stage I got from Jerry. This is going to be the guts of the small amplifier. And then I now have 2 vintage Jensen C12R speakers. These are 220-201, means it's a Jensen 1962 manufactured in January. They're in beautiful condition. Then I got a box of tubes here. There's about 12 AX7s in it, but there's about 35 of these things here called a 12 FQ8. And they're a funky thing. It's called a twin double plate triode. This is used in the voice mechanism for the organ itself. Well, that's about it. This is my score for today. It's quite a haul for the Fullerton amplifier. Thanks for watching. This is the Valve Studio.